Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Kristin Hildabrand, Warren County Extension Agent for Horticulture. Now, Kristin, today we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite plants, and that's the crepe myrtle.
Yes.
But sometimes in Kentucky, they don't look the same way.
They don't. So this one is, a late summer bloomer, so it's going to bloom on new wood. So the time to prune this particular one, if it does need it, is going to be right now, February to early March here in Kentucky. And so whenever you go to look about pruning crepe myrtles, most of the time we have the larger tree forms. It can get rather large, like 15 plus feet in the air. You just have to really look at the cultivar that you have. But then there could also be some other dwarf, kind of more shrub-like type crepe myrtles available too. You really want to make sure that if you're considering crepe myrtles, that you site it in the right location so that way it can grow to its full mature form, so that way you don't have any trouble with it later on. But whenever you're pruning this crepe myrtle, it's good to kind of prune it a little bit when it's younger, because whenever it does reach the more established form, it'll be well taken care of and you won't have to take care of it because you've trained it all in the beginning stages. So generally what we're talking about when you're pruning crepe myrtles is you want to look, it's a multi-trunk interest. So you're not going to have, sometimes you can train it where it's single, but a lot of them have multiple trunks. And so you want to keep that open like a vase shape would be, and then you want to have it going up and out. So generally, if there's in the earlier years, there's a lot of sprouts that can come up from the base. So you just want to make sure that you can remove those out. Again, we don't want that energy going right there in the center. We want to see that nice exfoliating bark. So you want to make sure that you take care of any of that so that way the energy goes strictly into the blooms. But you do want to make sure that you take out anything that's crossing over, kind of like our thinning out cuts. So anything that's rubbing up against it that might, bring in disease a little bit later, I would look at. Obviously with your pruning blades, there's lopping off shears that are probably going to get the larger size branches. The little hand pruners are going to be a little bit thinner than that, but also those bypass pruner shears are another way that you could also use those for helping take care of your cuts and things like that. You just want to make sure your pruning blades are sharp each time that you do that. And if you feel like you might have a disease, it's always good to sanitize those from each time. A lot of times I feel like what happens with crepe myrtles, Joanna, is that they top them. And a lot of times whenever you top them, then there's a lot of sprouts that come directly from that pruning cut. And you can really tell the difference when you're pruning more of the natural shape versus that topping, because a lot of times it's harder for those plants to recover. A lot of times we see more aphid damage, which is an insect that's really common in the summer months. And so a lot of times that growth right there after it's been topped is often a little bit weaker too.
And it's like a quicker growth. And
yes.
So it just kind of looks a little bit different too. But Kristin, what if somebody has purchased a home and they might have just an overgrown type crepe myrtle? Is there a way to kind of bring that back?
Yes, there certainly is. So we would, kind of walk them through those steps. Like the first thing general for pruning anything is there's anything that's dead or diseased. And obviously you'll be able to tell what's dead because it'll be very brittle. I mean, you can almost just take your hand and see how much that breaks apart. Anything that looks diseased is probably going to be very evident to you whenever you get a closer look at the actual crepe myrtle itself. So if you can take out some of that and then again kind of look at the overall structure, again anything that's crossing over into another, that would be probably your second pruning cut, and then again anything at the base. But it's good to kind of pick 4 to 5 main trunks. With these crepe myrtles, again we want to show that exfoliating bark that a lot of this beautiful type landscape tree does have. And then a lot of times people will ask what the seed pods, because as it goes more dormant, you'll have seed pods there. You can certainly take those back to a lateral bud. You'll be able to see that, but oftentimes when they get really large, it's hard to get the very, very top. So just do the ones that you can reach. Like as you do this early on in their growth stage, you shouldn't have to do as much as it gets a little older.
All right, so a little bit of maintenance will help over the longer period of time.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Kristin, we'll appreciate the information. And if you have questions, make sure to contact your local extension office. Thanks for watching and see you next time.